Mark will replace VT2 Schumacher with this, please. It's way shorter, but that's fine. It's 3 minutes shorter, but that's fine. It's like this line, so this that's better in a way. It's quite short out, by the way, tight out.
Spurs Man U last week were magnificent.
Oh, yeah, they were. Man U had to go a bit ropey, but
yeah, they were.
Spurs made them look.
Yeah, they did. And they're winning again, 2-0 Spurs? 2-0. Again. Yeah.
So you did?
Yeah, did really well there. He's only and then obviously from there we Derby when I was at Derby.
Oh.
But I didn't play with him at Derby. So I learned from probably one of the best regarding coaches wise. I'm not saying he's the best manager, but Ronaldo's one of the best coaches. That's where he's back at Man United. Because I think with Steve very much plays, sort of man where I think
turning McClintock nicely. Then Leach. Fine fly! Oh, well, what about that? What a brilliant goal. And Trevor Francis gets the St Andrews fans cheering again. And that's Francis. He's got to get one. He has. Trevor Francis. Start by Kendall and Francis, and number 2. Oh, they did work that so well together. Pulled back. This could well be 2 for Birmingham, and Francis makes it so. Francis. One of all the players on the park.
One of the greatest players to, if not the greatest player to ever come out of our city. And although he never pulled on the green shirt, he was a legend around these parts, and of course was at Birmingham City as well. Trevor Francis, who passed away last month and leaves a big hole. He would have been incredibly proud of today's game, no doubt, and his hometown club against the club that he made his name at in Birmingham City. And that was a brilliant tribute put together by Birmingham City Football Club for Trevor Francis, who got played before their first home game against Leeds a couple of weeks ago. And he would have been proud to watch this game. And hopefully it will live up to Trevor Francis's billing. This is the pre-match show on Argyle TV with HBH Woolacotts. I'm Charlie Price, and I'm joined by Mark Edworthy for this afternoon's game. A fourth game of the season for both sides, who've made steady starts to the Championship campaign. Birmingham City sit on 7 points from their opening 3 matches, whilst Argyle are on 4, looking to bounce back, of course, from last weekend's defeat against Southampton. And before we get on to this afternoon's game, Mark, just a quick word on Trevor Francis, who, of course, has huge links to both clubs, and you saw they're managed as well as played at Birmingham City. And hopefully this game can do him proud.
Yeah, wonderful tribute to Trevor. First £1 million player, amazing player, super talent, great pace. Obviously, condolences go out to all his family and friends. It's a real sad loss for football. Wonderful man, obviously European champion as well. I remember my time here, believe it or not, with John McGovern, Peter Shilton, Ian Bowyer. Just said how great a player Trevor Francis was. Obviously, European champions. Did great, those guys. And yeah, so that was a wonderful tribute to him. It just goes to show his quality, and let's hope today's game is very fitting of that.
Let's talk about today's game, because as I mentioned at the start, it's two sides that have actually started pretty well. Birmingham is still unbeaten, don't concede a lot of goals, but Argyle looking to bounce back after their first defeat of the season last week against Southampton.
Yeah, Birmingham have started superbly well. St Andrews, again, it's a tough place to go any time, and I think they've had a good start, unbeaten so far this season with 7 points, 2 wins and a draw. And I think we've got to bounce back from, we were unlucky against Southampton. I think if we're comparing ourselves to Southampton, who've just come down from the Premier League, and we're a bit disappointed from just narrowly losing 2-1, especially in extra time, I think it's something to build on. Stephen Schumacher would have worked hard this week. He knows how good Birmingham are. They're well organised, good without the ball, and obviously counter-attack very well. So they're missing a few players, I think, through the week, maybe for injuries. So, yeah, it's another mouth-watering tie in the Championship, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And of course, Argyle were at Birmingham just a couple of seasons ago. 1-0 victory in the FA Cup that time. Today is the first league meeting since 2009. But we will have to wait and see whether Argyle can avoid back-to-back defeats for the first time since February 2022. It's a long old time since we last lost 2 in a row. Anyway, coming up over the next 45 minutes or so, we'll be hearing from the Argyle camp. Stephen Schumacher will talk us through the team news, and we'll hear from a former Birmingham City player and current Birmingham City fan, Dan Scarr, who helped preview the game. We'll also catch up with Caleb Roberts after he signed a brand new contract at Home Park, keeping him here for the next 3 seasons. And of course, we'll dive into the Birmingham City camp as well and hear from Mark's former teammate and their current manager, John Eustace, as well. But we'll start off with the team news and the side that Stephen Schumacher has gone for this afternoon, and it sports one change to the 11 that lost at Southampton last week, which sees Adam Randall come back into that midfield for Luke Cundle, who drops back to the bench. Kane Kessler-Hayden has shrugged off the little bit of cramp that he picked up last week and keeps his spot at left back. No place, of course, for Saxon Early, with him now out for the next 3 months with a ligament injury. And of course, as I mentioned, Dan Scarr returning to St Andrews, a place that he grew up watching football and was part of the Argyle side actually that did beat Birmingham a couple of seasons ago in the FA Cup. Looking at the side then, Mark, what immediately jumps out at you?
Well, I think Shuey would have looked at that and thought, the players did well last week at home. They got some great quality there. We know strength and depth. I think Luke was unlucky probably to miss out. He did really well last week. He broke from midfield, and that would have been a tough call for the manager, leaving Adam Randall out, because I think his passing distribution's great. He's probably a little bit more aggressive than Luke at times, but that would have been a difficult meeting, I would imagine, calling got Adam in to say, unfortunately, this is what I'm going to go with today. Because players, what they want to do, Charlie, they want to train hard and they want to play. That's what you do during the week. You play, and competition for places, and that just goes to show it's a great bench. It's a great starting 11. So Randall will come back in today, and he'll certainly want to put a mark on this afternoon.
That midfield sort of axis or balance is something that we spoke about on Saturday, with the two changes as and Cundall coming in, having replaced Randall and Callum Wright, who had started the season. And we saw a slightly different way that Argyle approached that match, and it was sort of more intricate and 1-2 touch stuff in there. As you say, though, Adam Randall brings some sort of like almost relaxation to the side when he plays in there.
Well, I think what he does, he plays the game at his own pace, doesn't he? Yeah, he can be. I think Adam's got a bit more aggressive as well, but his passing completion is very good. He dictates the midfield. He gets some really good pockets, and he sits in front of that back four. But also now he can break forward. We've seen him come up with a number of wonder goals. I don't think Adam scores any easy goals. But again, it would have been a tough course. I think Luke Cundall did superbly well last week, but that's a great opportunity that Shuey's got. He's got quality players in every position, which you need in this championship. We talked about the fixture list and we talked about the up-and-coming games. I know Birmingham's today, but there's no easy game, Charlie. We haven't lost back-to-back games for a long time, but this is a different encounter for the players. Now, championship level is a step up. The quality is a step up, and I think we've seen that last week against Southampton.
Yeah, well, we absolutely did, and it won't get any easier today. Just one final thing. I mentioned Saxon Early's injury, and it's a shame that he'll now be out for the next 3 months. He's done ligament damage in his ankle. But we've seen Kane Kesler-Hayden, and I know he came off in that game, and there were a few worried faces because he'd missed the week before. But he, along with Lewis Gibson, seems to have settled into that defensive unit that Argyle have at the minute.
Yeah, I think Gibson was potentially the man of the match last week. I think him and Dan Scarr have formed that partnership. I said last week, when you've got a natural left-sided centre-half, it just balances the back four or back five, whatever way Shuey decides to go. And the blocks he got in, I think those two have formed a partnership. And again, we've got quality players in the central centre-half positions. So again, you need to be pushed in training. It's competition for places, and those players know they have to play well to keep the shirt.
We'll hear from Dan Scarr in a little bit, actually, about that partnership with Lewis Gibson that he is forming. But let's check in on the Birmingham City side for this afternoon's game as well. They, as we've said, are unbeaten at the start of the season, but have been forced into making a couple of changes. They are because Ethan Laird and Sariki Dembele, two of their summer signings that started the season so well, picked up injuries in the win over Bristol City last week. They're replaced by Koji Miyoshi, who actually came off the bench to score the opener at Ashton Gate 7 days ago. And also James has come in into the midfield positions there. You'll see on the bench a couple of familiar faces. Jay Stansfield signed from Exeter City just yesterday and is involved this afternoon. Lukas Jutkovic, who's got 2 goals this season, the club captain, he is a former Argyle loanee, as is number 16 there, Sam Cosgrove, who's yet to kick a ball in the league this season, but we all know what he can do. Mark, 2 changes, both enforced by John Eustace, and it's a shame for them because the two that have dropped out have been performing
probably
well.
Their best 2 players, obviously 10 and 16, flash out to us, don't they, stand out. Jukovic and obviously Cosgrove. We know all about Cosgrove. I hope he doesn't repeat what we first did together, Charlie, at Derby County when he came on and really took the Argyle fans to his heart, didn't he? Because he was superb. He came on, scored 2 and magnificent. And also did really, really well. So I'm sure he'll get a really good reception if he does come on regarding the Argyle following. As we know, we've sold out again. So great support to our away fans. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see that there's changes for Eustace. They are unbeaten, as we said. They got a great home result against Leeds. Obviously, they beat Bristol City away and drew against Swansea at home. So, they are going to be difficult to beat, but they are at home. So the emphasis is on them in front of their fans. Whereas we're going away from home, we can probably soak up the pressure and obviously go on the counter attack. But lots of flair and talent. It'll be interesting to see how the players come in after losing a stable sort of midfield quarter, which they had, how the game will pan out this afternoon.
It will be interesting because they, of their 4 games so far, that's including the cup win over Cheltenham as well, but those 4 games that they've played so far, they've only conceded the 1 goal. That was in the opening game of the season. They don't concede many chances. I think they're one of the sides in the league with the fewest chances against. They've got as you said, a sort of settled back line, experience of John Ruddy in there. Dion Sanderson's coming this year as the captain, having been there last year as well. Solid player. They have had to replace their right back, though, with Laird going out. And it looks as if Bakuna's going to slot into that right back position. He's more of a forward-thinking player. So maybe that could be an area.
Yeah, it could be. That could be a position where they can exploit and get in behind, as we said, forward-thinking. Is he going to do his defensive duties? But I know John, from playing with him, John Eustace, we've been at a couple of clubs together. He is super organised. He's always been a captain wherever he's played. And Shuey's openly said this week they know how organised they are without the ball. So there's a fear of the counter-attacking. So hopefully, we can push them back and exploit those areas that they have changed. Is it going to work for them or against them this afternoon? But I think something that will be something to explore this afternoon. And
you mentioned the Leeds result as well. A couple of weeks ago, it was their first home game of the season. First home game since they've had their takeover, and they've got that new kind of upstairs backroom staff. Tom Brady, one of the players on the board now as well. And it just from the outside looking in, there seems like there's a different feeling around Birmingham City. Over the last couple of years, it's been a bit down.
Yeah,
but
I think
it doesn't seem that.
Well, such a big club, isn't it? We know the construction work at the ground has been going on for a number of years, and it is a magnificent place to play, St Andrews. John's got in there. He's obviously done a good job. They're on the verge of relegation a couple of times, and they did go down and bounce back, and they are starting to get stable now. They've had some good investment, and it is a huge club. I mean, it's a club where they're in the shadows of Aston Villa at the moment, and they won't like that in Birmingham, of course. But they want to bounce back, so the infrastructure's there at the club. They've got a settled manager who they believe in, and they're hoping to do well this season.
We've also mentioned Sam Cosgrove and Lucas Jukovic, former Argyle, related people towards Birmingham. They also have a certain Keith Downing on the bench, who was Argyle's assistant manager a couple of seasons ago as well. So he will have a few inside infos. Anyway, let's hear from the Argyle manager, shall we? Stephen Schumacher spoke to Ali Cliff just a couple of minutes ago.
Gaffer here at St Andrews, one change today. What's your thoughts on the team?
Obviously we've gone with Adam instead of Luke. Thought Luke did really well last week, but we're away from home. Adam gives us a little bit more of a physical presence in there. So yeah, just the one change. Apart from that, we're quite settled, and hopefully put on a good performance.
Looks like two change the hosts. What are you expecting from Birmingham City today?
We spoke to the lads all week about how well organised Birmingham are without the ball. They pose a threat on the counter-attack. They've got a couple of people missing as well, who are big threats for them, who've been doing really well. So yeah, it's going to be a tough game, the physical. I'm going to have to be on it if we're going to try and win.
Sold out crowd again, big away following. They've got a big part to play, haven't they?
Yeah, huge. It was good then. We've just walked out on the pitch and there's already a few in and giving us all a clap as we went out. So it's going to be good to see. Hopefully we can say the players can play well. They can create some atmosphere, which our fans always do. Last time we were here, Birmingham City was a memorable afternoon, and hopefully this is the same.
Stephen Schumacher there speaking just a couple of moments ago, and reiterating the point that you were saying, Mark, about that way that he expects, and we all probably expect Birmingham to be, and that is very, very good off the ball. They've got John Eustace, as you said, as their manager, that Keith Downing was renowned when he was here as being an off-the-ball coach. Yeah, exactly right. They are going to be well organised. I think Shuey knows that. It's the concentration's the key. It's small details, finer details. That's the difference between League One and the Championship. But they can be beaten. Obviously, they're at home. The expectations always is that the home team, they're going to attack. So they've trained hard this week. They're well organised, and hopefully we can go there. And look, if you get a away point, it's fantastic. You go there with a point. If you can come back with a point, it's a fantastic result. If you can get all three, I think that's a huge bonus away from home. And hopefully then you can back that with your home results. Unfortunately, we lost last week, so sure we want to be looking at getting something from St Andrews this afternoon. How much do you think he and the players would have been hurting from last week? Because we spoke just before we came on air about the fact that you're playing against a Southampton side that are expected to get promoted. They've got internationals left, right and centre, spend millions on players. So you kind of think, well, if you lose to them, fair enough. Yeah. But the fact that it was so late and you kind of thought you'd done the hard yards and all of that, and just knowing footballers anyway being quite difficult when you lose. Well, the change of season is that added time, isn't it? I think it was 9 in total, wasn't it, over the course? So you almost like every game now is 100 minutes, maybe 100 plus. And I think it's a fact we lost in the sort of 96th minute, which was disappointing. And that just shows the expectations from Stephen Schumacher's side.
He's a born winner. He wants to win games. He wants to challenge in this league. He's not here just to make up the numbers, which is a great asset for the football club and the players. And he'll want to go there. And he doesn't go to Birmingham thinking they're going to get beat. Of course, and no manager would do that, because what's the point of even going into management if that's your thought process? He'll want to go there and get all 3 points. And I think that's a great trend of his. He was bitterly disappointed losing 2-1 against, as we said, a Premier League side who'd just come down. They were quality at times. We matched them. And it was just a little bit of detail last week here at Home Park, where just that little final pass or that breakaway or the ball just didn't roll for us, and that's a small detail. And in the end, we just were very unfortunate just to lose 2-1 in the dying embers of the game.
Yeah, and I suppose that's probably a key point, isn't it? He'll be reiterating the fact that we got into some great positions, and if the pass had been in front of a player or slightly better or whatever, that would have been an opportunity to score.
Well, opportunities present themselves in this league, and they do, and they did present themselves last week, and we just didn't quite take them. Or, as we said, we made a run. I think we remember Morgan Whitter made a great one. Zaz could he just slip the Zaz in? And we could talk about little moments in game, but over the course of 90-plus minutes, that builds up to a number of chances. And it's the famous saying, isn't it? If you don't use chances, ultimately it'll come back to bite you, and it did. And in the end, it was like we just didn't react quick enough to the winning goal last week. It was a mix up in the box. The ball was scrambling around. The goalkeeper makes a fantastic save, and it is fine details that cost us all 3 points last week.
Yeah. And just on sort of the opening 3 matches, I know it's unbelievably early days so far, but would you imagine he'd be quite happy with what the points tally? 4 points, got a win under his belt. Got an away point as well. Competed.
Well, knowing Steve and the gaffer, no, he's not happy. That's your answer. He's not. He was disappointed. He was disappointed in training. He's not going to show that to players. He's going to show his enthusiasm and disappointment. Say, look, I'm expected. Knowing him, he wanted all 9 points.
Yeah.
But we've got 4. And for me, it was a wonderful point away to Watford. Brilliant result at home to Huddersfield, because that's the start of the new season. And obviously Neil Warnock came here, and that's a tough team to beat. Big, strong, organised. Neil coming back to his former club, he didn't want to get beat. So the marking was there early on. So first home win, fantastic. Wanted to go and beat Watford. Had our chances again, but I think anybody would have been pleased with the result against Watford, because they're another side who are tipped to maybe go straight back up or even win the championship. And then to play against Southampton and but want a better result for it just shows the mentality of Steven Schumacher.
Without a doubt, he would have been thinking that. And you can see it in his face there, actually speaking before the match, that he's fully focused. He did mention as well, the last time we went up to St Andrews was a couple of seasons ago. It was an FA Cup third round victory. We'll see the highlights of that a little bit later on. But that will probably play a little bit of a part, because it is quite recent. And there's a lot of players that played in that team that are playing again today. If you look at Dan Scarr, Jordan Houghton, Adam Randall, Ryan Hardy, they were all in that team. So this is one ground they have experienced and have a really good experience at.
Yeah, it's nice to obviously win at a ground as well, isn't it? And you're quite familiar with that. It's going to be another fantastic atmosphere. We talked about the away fans. We've travelled superbly well, and they are the 12th man for us. Our away support has been magnificent, and our home support at Home Park as well has been tremendous. And it does give you that real confidence if you've got that belief and following. Of course, it helps away from home, and I think that'll drive the players on, and they have a huge part to play this afternoon.
Well, you are watching the pre-match show here on Argyle TV with HBH Willicots. We're building up to Argyle's trip to Birmingham City, which kicks off in about 40 minutes' time. If you haven't got your match pass yet, you can get it right now if you want. Just go to our website, pafc.co.uk. If you're watching in the UK and are based in the UK, England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, then you can get an audio match pass for £2.50. But if you're watching abroad, you can stream the match in full for £10. Commentary from Rob McNichol and Hasni Al-Joffrey coming up at 3 o'clock. Much more to come, though, on the pre-match show, coming up after this.
The away day. A shared passion and commitment. 12,000 miles across the season. Unforgettable memories. Past players, the goals. Waiting players, supporters, young and old. Capturing the moment, living the dream. Green Army, belting out the genocide. The stands, the shirts, the drum beats, The surging crowd moving as a giant wave, crusaders one and all. The Green Army.
Well, as we mentioned just a moment ago, Dan Scarr is one of the players that has played at St Andrews before for Argyle. He's one of the longest-serving players in the squad, but a Birmingham boy who grew up supporting the Blues, and after a spell in non-league, got his big break at St Andrews. He only played one game, that was in the Carabao Cup, but he's relishing going back with Argyle again this afternoon.
Obviously, from where I've come from, I dropped down quite a bit. To be back with like Argyle playing them, it's a nice feeling that it's just a regular game and not a cup game, and it's no bigger to any other game. Whereas before, when I went back, it was a cup game. It's a one-off, so it's one of them. But to be going back as a league game, it's a nice feeling to know we're on par.
Mm. That cup game, let's talk about it. It was a couple of years ago, and I mean it was a great game from our point of view, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I thought probably in the first half, or we could have been 3 or 4 up. I don't think they had many chances really, but I'm expecting like obviously a different team to then. Obviously since the takeover, they've had a lot of new players. Like I still obviously look out for their results, watch their highlights and stuff, and I know they're a better team than what they were then. Plus, FA Cup game, you can tend to rest a few when you're in a higher league. So I don't think that'll be the case. I think it'll be a tough game. I think they'll be one of the tougher tests we've had lately, just because of their style of football. Probably it's a different. It'd be like Huddersfield, but probably better, a bit more direct. But they've also got good footballers. So yeah, but no, I'm looking forward to it.
Just a final one, just on you and how you feel the season started. Obviously, it's a change of shape at the back.
Yeah.
Since you've come to the club, we've had a back 3, back 4.
Yeah.
Seems to have taken to it like a duck to water.
Yeah, I always played the back 4 anyway, like before I came to Argyle, so it wasn't something I was like new to coming back. It was more, I played a 3 a couple of times and been the centre, but I quite like being involved in a 4. I feel you're probably in the action a little bit more when you're on the ball. You've probably got a lot more passing lanes to choose from. But yeah, it's been good. I think the whole of the back 4 and the lads in front, I think we've defended really well, and I think we can take positives from it and take that into every game. I think we'll be alright and we'll limit chances. So we just need to concentrate and keep working hard.
And actually, just a very quick word on your partner back there at the minute. Gibson's come in and has got rave reviews from the supporters at the very least. How have you sort of rated his first couple of weeks?
No, I think he's been really good. I think he's been excellent. He's a solid defender. He talks, which is obviously now we're in the Championship. There's runners coming from all angles, midfielders, wingers. There's a lot more people in the box and that, so it's nice to have people that talk around you, and he does talk and he's vocal, so he's aggressive, he's good on the ball. No, I think he started really well. Yeah.
They've struck up quite a relationship so soon into this Argyle career, haven't they? Those two, Lewis Gibson and Dan Scarr.
Yeah, as we said, I think they've probably been the outstanding players so far this season. Danny's very dominant, isn't he? Likes to win all his headers and aggressive. And I think having that natural left footer beside you balances the back 4. I think Gibson's come in, has been outstanding. Blocks, talks. Well, that's a key factor as well. Talking, organisation skills. You've got to talk as a back 4. You've got the goalkeeper behind you, organising, but you can see everything as well. And it's organising people in front of you, get them in good positions to protect you. And I think you've got sort of 2 leaders as central defenders, which is a great asset. Yeah.
The other thing he talked about was how he's adapted to playing in a back 4 rather than a back 3 or a back 5, which is what we've predominantly seen him in since he's been at Argyle. How he said he's used to it because he's always grown up in it, and that's absolutely understandable. But what are the key differences if you're switching, especially for him? He was middle of a back 3, now he's right side of a back 2.
I think if you play with a 4, so you've got the 2 central defenders, the concentration there, you win your headers because you know you haven't got that protection behind you. When you play the 5, if you do miss the header or you lapse the concentration, the middle one of the 5, and Dan Scarr's played that on a number of occasions, is there to sweep up. His class is sort of like a sweeper row, but is there to pick up any loose ends or any sort of mistake. So it's just that extra little bit of security back there. But Dan prefers to play and dominate because you're in charge of your own destiny then. If you do lose the header, you've got to get back and defend, and also you were probably in an awkward position. But he's played as a 3. He was dominant as a 3 when he played in that middle, won all his headers, could protect a little bit more. And it allows you just to drop a little bit deeper as well. whereas I think Dan likes to be up against his
Yeah.
centre forward. He likes to dominate his centre forward, so I think he's more happier playing in the 4.
Yeah. He'll have a little bit of extra motivation as well today. I had to cut the bits out of that interview because he kept calling Birmingham.
I know,
but he's a big Birmingham City fan.
It is. It's very difficult, and I think when you're on camera, if it's he loves the club, he's a Birmingham fan, and now he's gone up against them, and obviously he wants to do superbly well and beat them, and he just did get carried away where he's calling, we've done superbly well, and we love this club, but I mean, look, he's a great asset to the football club. He's a real leader, and he was for sure want to go there and win this afternoon. Yeah,
without a doubt. And he has already been there and won, so he knows what that does taste like. Now, he's not involved today, but he was actually in action up in Exeter, the Exeter City training ground, a little bit earlier on. Caleb Roberts was part of an under-18 side that came from 2-0 down to beat Exeter City 3-2 earlier today. More information on that will be on our website later on this afternoon. But he also is fresh off the back of signing a brand new 3-year deal at Home Park, an extension to his current deal that he had signed a year previously, and he's been impressive over the last couple of weeks in pre-season and featuring as well in the cup competitions, and is looking forward to what the next few years might bring for him. Caleb, congratulations. Brand new contract here at Argyle. What does it feel like?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's obviously come from a good start to the season and throughout pre-season, but like just time to kick on again now. I think obviously it's my second one, so just got to keep pushing, keep working hard.
Second one, as you say, first pro deal was on your 17th birthday.
Yeah.
This is a month or so out from your 18th, but it's a 3-year deal. What does that mean to you?
Just like, it doesn't like mean anything, as in I've got more time. It's a positive, if anything, like more time to work harder and break into the first team. And obviously by the end of it, I want to be at a much higher stage than I am now.
Let's take a little look back over the last year, shall we? You made your league debut Boxing Day last season. You've obviously impressed when you're playing in the Papa John's Trophy matches as well. What has this last 12 months or 11 months been?
Amazing. Like, I could have never really predicted what the last year was going to be like. Just like I'll say this year, like when I signed my contract, just wanted to work hard and improve and get more first team minutes, and that's what I've done. And it could have still definitely been better, but I want to just keep going again.
You were involved for the first game of the season this season on the bench against Huddersfield. First game back in the Championship for Argyle as well. What was that whole experience like as well?
Oh, that was amazing. It was so good to see like that amount of fans and so many people like supporting, and obviously the result was just crazy as well. Like if we can do that throughout the season, we'll be fine.
Yeah, we spoke to you when you signed your deal last year about your journey through the academy, but you know, for you to be signing the second contract and it being a long-term deal, and we saw the news with Freddie getting his first contract just a month or so ago. What is it like being a local lad and having players that you've grown up through the academy with being part of this first team as well?
I mean, so good. I obviously got friends, mates and all who just like the sport and what we're doing. It's amazing. I can't really say much more.
We saw your mum and dad and family were up whilst you were signing your contract. What was a moment like this like for your family as well?
Yeah, they're just really proud. Obviously, it's what my dad's been wanting for me since I joined the academy. So yeah, he's just really proud, and obviously they come to watch most of the games, all of the games I'm involved in. So yeah, it's great.
You've been involved quite a lot this season, as we mentioned. Played in the Carabao Cup as well. Pretty much played every game in pre-season. What's it been like this year?
Yeah, it's been a lot different to last year. I think I can kick on a bit more, and like obviously, I think I'm dealing well with the challenge as well, and it's good. Like I like being able to be pushed and work harder.
And just finally, it is a 3-year deal, as we said. So what do you think? What are you hoping, I suppose, the next 3 years looks like for you?
Just hopefully keep getting better and better throughout the years, and eventually I want to be like in the team, like breaking out, especially towards or by the end of my 3 years.
You, of course, would have seen a lot of Caleb Roberts, Mark, in the under-18s over the last 2 or 3 years. Seen him in the first team as well. How good is he?
Yeah, he's a super talent. Lovely lad, Caleb, as well. Lovely family. Obviously knows dad Paul very well, and yeah, delighted for him and the family. It comes from hard work. He is very driven. Great to see him stay here for another 3 years. I think he is the future of the football club, and it's great work from the club and the chairman to keep him here, along with Freddie Azaka. So, real future stars of the football club, and he wants to get better. He's aggressive. He scores goals. He's had taste of the first team. I think now Shuey's documented that Freddie Azaka and Caleb Roberts train regular with him to get them up to speed, and it is a real good piece for the football club. It really is. I think the year he's in the year with my lad Kieran as well, and they've got a good year, so they'll look at them too, and it'll drive them on as well. I think it's always good if you've got talented youngsters at the football club. So yeah, delighted for Caleb, and yeah, he's certainly got a bright future.
Yeah, you mentioned him and Freddie, and just see the Argyle players arriving at St Andrews. Dan Scarr there with a big smile on his face. But you mentioned those two and the fact that they do train regularly, and I think Stephen Schumacher's come out and said that he doesn't want either of them to go out on loan. He wants them in and around the first team. What does that say to them about what their plans are at this club?
Well, I think what they've done since the start of pre-season, I think Shuey's done it superbly well. A number of scholars have gone up and trained with the first team because it sees, what level they're at. Can they cope with it? Training's very intense, and I think it's only just going to bring them on. If you're training with the 18s, it's very fast and furious, and don't forget 18s football, they're all trying to get pro contracts, so sometimes you don't get that much detail, and maybe you don't see great games. There's obviously super talented players, but it turns out being that they do more individual stuff because they're trying to impress. I'm sure the manager, Darren Wade's like, calm down, play the ball quicker, yeah. But it is very difficult when you're striving to be the best player. And I think over the course of the campaign, when you watch an 18s football, you don't see great games. You see great individuals, but you don't see great games because of that fact that they're overplaying at times and they're trying to impress. So I think now they're with the first team, the level and the intensity, they've got to move the ball quickly because they'll get told off if they don't. And 1 or 2 touch passing, the high intensity and the quality will only make them better players.
Well, as we say, very exciting over the next couple of years to see how Freddie and Caleb, of course, do. As I mentioned, they were part of an under-18 side with Mark's lad, Kieran as well, that came back from 2-0 down to beat Exeter City 3-2 today. And the match report will be up on our website, pafc.co.uk. Later on this afternoon, you can hear from Darren Way as well. Now, we are under half an hour away from kick-off at St Andrews. First league meeting between these two sides since 2009. If you haven't got your match pass, go and get it now. If you're a UK-based supporter, you can listen to commentary for just £2.50. But if you are overseas, you can watch the game in full. £10 is what it will cost you. Head to our website, pafc.co.uk, for all the details. Much more to come on the pre-match show in a minute.
Let's get it pumping, I'm looking away. Go tell mother I'm cooking the game. Flow like water bubbling up where you want me to make. Taking you back in the day, feeling immaculate, mate. Action packed back to back while you yapping away. I got a knack to react, but I'm packing a grace. Up to the max with a fact, let me grab the space. I had to map the place, who got a laughing face? Long, long, and strong, looking like a stack full of hate. It goes on and on, way to the back of the bank. This phenomenon's on, I don't even have to say. I'm where I belong, this is not back in the, I go where I wanna, a fair warning for anybody with hair on them. You can't stop me, it gets sloppy.
You're watching the pre-match show on Argyle TV with HBH Willicotts, with myself, Charlie Price, and Mark Edworthy, building up to Argyle's trip to Birmingham City. And as we've been saying, it has been a positive start for the hosts so far this season. They're unbeaten. They have 7 points from their 3 matches played. And John Eustace, their manager, like Stephen Schumacher, is just in his 2nd full season as manager and is hoping that his side can continue their momentum this afternoon.
It was an excellent performance, a real collective. The whole squad was used. The fans were fantastic. It was a really good day.
And Bakuna played a large portion of that game at right back, did a very good job as well. Is that an example of the no excuses culture you've got here?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just about the squad. Everyone's used, everyone's needed, everyone's throughout the season. It is very, very important. There's no individual who's better than each other. It's about the use of the squad, and we needed that squad of players on Saturday, and I thought everyone who played the part were magnificent.
That's 3 consecutive clean sheets now. What do you put that down to?
It's just hard work on the training field. You know, the boys are taking everything on board that we want them to, and you know, they're driving the standards themselves, and they're working hard on the training field. I said you get the results on a Saturdays from all the work that you do Monday to Friday, and at the moment, the work's paying off.
Our last 3 goals have come from the bench as well. How happy have you been with the attitudes and the way that those lads have come on and changed the games?
I think over pre-season we used a lot of players, and you know, again, it's about the squad. The players that we're using, they want to play for each other. They most importantly want to play for this football club, and they'll do whatever it takes. And whoever's called upon will sweat blood for the cause. And you can see when we're getting good chances, the players are now coming in and taking them chances.
You've played very well without the ball so far this season. Limited teams to very few chances as well. How much preparation, how much effort goes into that?
I've got a hell of a lot of work, you know, from all the staff and. From Mike, the goalkeeping coach as well, you know, little important details on the opposition goalkeeper. You know, the level of detail that goes into everything we do is very high, and you know, you can see that coming out.
On injury news, we saw, unfortunately, Ethan Laird and Dembele both taken off last weekend. How are they doing?
Yeah, they're going to be struggling for the weekend, and obviously they're 2 real big players for us, you know, but again, the players that came on, you know, at important times in the last game, and Bakker going into right back, filling in there, you know, it just shows that, you know, no matter what comes across us, you know, we'll get on with it, and whoever plays will be ready.
Plymouth as well, moving on to them, have had a really good start to the season themselves, unlucky to lose to Southampton last weekend. What kind of test are they going to provide? Yeah,
they're a very good team. You know, Stephen's got them really playing some fantastic football. They've got great momentum as well. Obviously, getting promoted last season where they were exceptional. You know, that group of players have been together there for 2 or 3 years, and you know, we know it's going to be a really difficult challenge for us, but one we'll be ready for. Finally, this will be the 5th straight sellout crowd for Blues. What does that mean for you and the lads to see the fans backing you the way they are? It's very, very important that the fans, you know, back the team, back the club. You know, the club are on the rise now. They're on the club are heading in the right direction. They've got owners now that really care. You can see all the work that they've been doing around the stadium, around the training field. You know, the players that we're bringing in as well. So, you know, the atmosphere around the Birmingham City is very, very good at the moment, and it's only going to get better.
John Eustace there talking ahead of today's game. Someone you know well, as you said, played with him at a couple of clubs, Coventry, and knew him from his time at Derby as well. So what are his strengths then? What do you think his strengths are as a coach?
Well, I just see him there as his leadership qualities. He was always a captain, led by example in midfield. I like the fact he says no excuses. He doesn't believe in that, John. Even on the pitch, he was very self-critical, wanted to be a winner. And I think he prepares his side superbly well, gets ready for anything. He doesn't expect any excuses because that's done Monday to Friday. He knows all the detail. He does a lot of work behind the scenes, so he'll know everything about Stephen Schumacher's side. He'll know the individuals, strengths and weaknesses, and they'll be prepared. So it's another tough order for Argyle this afternoon.
We've mentioned as well their defensive stability, and he highlighted it there as well, that it doesn't go without a lot of hard work. I suppose that will be one of Argyle's tests. That man there, Ryan Hardy, have to be at his game to get past a defence that hasn't conceded in 3 matches.
Well, I think Hardy's got great pace, isn't he? I think at times, you know, we've been frustrated not played him behind because he just shows how lethal he is. He did that against Huddersfield. Magnificent period, wasn't it, with Morgan Whittaker, Ballymumba and Ryan Hardy. That front trio was superb, and the goal he actually scored from Morgan playing him through. He was on the shoulder, played him behind, and he's very difficult to pick up with that pace. When that opportunity does come at Championship level, you've got to take it. And I think we've got to get him in behind because he will scare any defence. And Ryan's not the one who needs to be setting up play. He needs to be running in behind, stretching defences, which will allow that man to get on the ball. Adam Randall, he can dictate play from midfield as well. So all those preparations would have been done on the training ground, and then ultimately match day, it's time to deliver.
The other thing that Argyle are probably going to contend with today is a resurgent crowd. And again, we heard it in that chat with John Eustace there that it's going to be a 5th successive sellout in a row. This is going back to the end of last season. Stadium, obviously, as we saw just a moment ago from a clip, it's not fully complete with that bottom tier still needing work. But there is a completely different feel around Birmingham City. And if you watched any highlights from the Leeds win a couple of weeks ago, it felt like a completely different place, and that's going to be quite tough, I suppose, for Argyle to contend with something that's happening at that club at the minute.
Well, there's confidence in the football club, and any player that's confident in their club's confidence is very hard to overcome. Magnificent place, St Andrews. Played there on a number of occasions. It is magnificent when it's full. They've sold out again. They've got good owners now. The club's stable, and I think the club's been for a real transition period. And when a club is stable, that gives manager confidence. It gives the players confidence as well, and it clearly shows that with them being unbeaten in the first 3 games.
Be a tough test for Argyle this afternoon, that is for sure. We are getting closer and closer to kick-off here on Argyle TV. Coming up after this, we'll be recapping all of the team news from St Andrews.
There's nothing like the start to a new season. The energy, the anticipation, the expectation. You know that buzz in the air. You can feel it. It's going to be our year. It's going to be different this time. It needs to be, for all of us. The emotions of the game get to us all. I know all about that. But whether out on the pitch, in the stands, or on the sidelines, we've all got to do better at all levels. No more surrounding refs, no more abuse, no more intimidation, no more discrimination. Leave the pitch to the players. And those offensive chants, you know the ones. There's never a place for them in the game we love. That beautiful feeling at the start of a new season. Don't ruin it. Let's keep it that way, together. Whether you win, lose or draw, let's make sure that this season is different. We all do it for the love of the game. Let's show our pride and passion in the right way. We all love football, so let's protect the game.
This is a pre-match show on Argyle TV, brought to you by HBH Willicots, with myself, Charlie Price, and Mark Edworthy. We are counting down to kick off at St Andrews, where Argyle will be looking to get back to winning ways against a Birmingham City side that have surprised a few, I think, at the start of the season. 7 points from their opening 3 matches already. Kick-off is just under 15 minutes away. If you haven't got your match pass already, please make sure you do go and get it. UK-based supporters can listen to the game for £2.50. Commentary team of Rob McNichol and Hasni Al-Joffrey up at St Andrews this afternoon. And if you're outside the UK, you can stream the game for £10 in full. All of the details are on our website, pafc.co.uk. We've got enough time to recap the 2 sets of team news, and we'll start with Argyle. And they make the one change from the side that lost to Southampton last week. That sees Adam Randall come in for Luke Cundle, who drops down to the bench. Other than that, it is a similar lineup that we've seen pretty much throughout this season so far, Mark. And that's been one thing, I suppose, that Stephen Schumacher he's tinkered 1 or 2 players each time, but it's by and large the same 11 roughly that is playing.
Yeah, I think in League One there was a number of changes, wasn't it? And very rare last season. I don't know how many games it was in the end where we did keep the same 11. I think now the training ground work, the preparation starts from early on in the week. Competition in place, which is great. And I think we've got a very strong bench, but a very strong starting 11. I think that's the team he's gone with. Randall's going to come back in. Shuey's already said, but he's a bit more aggressive than Luke. We know his passing completion is very good. And you have to stamp his authority on that midfield this afternoon. Yeah,
and I just want to get your thoughts as well on what you've made of Barley Mumba since he's moved into that more offensive position this season.
Funny enough, I was speaking to someone from Norwich last week, and I actually said to him, how did the chairman release him? Because I thought he's a super talent. He was brilliant for us last season, played in that, like I say, more attacking role. Magnificent goal against Huddersfield. But the thing is, in the Championship now, Charlie, he's going to be a marked man, like Morgan Whittaker, like the rest of the players we've got who are forward-thinking, attacking-wise. Ryan Hardy, especially as well. They're going to come up against good players, and they're going to be tested. So they've got to find a way. We know he's a young player, Ballymumba, and he will overcome it. He's still learning, super talented. But I think he settled in superbly well, and probably quiet for his standards last week against Southampton. But again, looking forward to see him against Birmingham this afternoon.
What did your contact at Norwich. So.
Well, I just said you must have got some wonderful players there, because
Yeah.
it was my former club, and I know the guy well because he wanted me to do some work with Radio Norwich, but obviously geographically is miles away from here. So I just said you must have got a super talented squad, because I think Ballymumba's been a revelation here at Home Park.
Yeah, he absolutely has been. Let's see the side that he and Argyle are up against. This is the Birmingham lineup for this afternoon's game. John Eustace forced into making a couple of changes. Injuries to Ethan Laird and Siriki Dembele mean that Jordan James and Koji Miyoshi come in to replace them. Familiar names on the bench, as we mentioned earlier. Lukas Jukovic spent time on loan here back when Argyle were last in the Championship. He's their captain and scored in the last couple of matches. Sam Cosgrove as well. An option for them should they need it. Just looking at that Birmingham City side, I mentioned that they have maybe surprised a few this season, but kind of looking at the players that are in there, Scott Hogan's played in the Championship for many a year. Christian Bellick cost Derby £1 million when they were in the Championship from Arsenal. Bakuna we know about. Anderson, Keshi Anderson's played in that league for a long time. John Ruddy's been in England squads. You know, it's why. I suppose the question is, why were people writing them off a little bit?
Well, I think they were just a bit unstable before. I think now they've got John in, they've got a good manager. They've got great support there. The club's going places now. They've got good owners. They said Bielik came from Derby. I remember he was at Derby, superb player from Arsenal. Unfortunately, got a number of injuries. I think he did his cruciate on a couple of occasions, but on his day, a very, very good player. And you look at, again, it's littered with talent, and you wonder why they were struggling in the Championship and previous leagues, and why they fought off relegation. But there's some quality in that side. Unbeaten start, as we said, and they're going to be difficult to beat.
Gary Gardner as well on the bench, another player that's played at the highest level. Just got enough time to kind of have some final thoughts from you, Mark, on the game. So we've spoken a lot about how defensively solid they have been and how Argyle might want to try and get at them. How do you see it going? Do you see it being a fast start from Argyle, or will it be a little bit more cautious being away from home?
I think it's got to be a fast start. I think the Huddersfield game, the tempo against Watford and even at Southampton, the Championship, that's why they always say the Championship is such a great league, one of the best supported leagues as well, because it is fast and furious. They will go for each other straight away just to test each other out, so Argyle will be ready for that. I think they've been ready in all three games. They started the game superbly well, and I think especially away from home you have to start well.
Yeah, well, actually, we saw that against Watford. They were under the cosh for the first couple of minutes, managed to see it through, and that again might be the case today with a really loud Birmingham City crowd. Yeah,
I think they will start well. The home team always does. They try to test the opposition out very quickly. I think you've got to weather the storm. You've got to stand up against it. We will have chances. We will soak up pressure. Obviously, Birmingham clearly will have their moments in the game, but we will have our moments, and let's hope this afternoon we can take them.
Who then are the keys for Argyle?
Well, I think obviously if you look at Gibson and Scar, they're going to be really tested this afternoon. I think they've got to be at their game or on their game. They've got to be at their best. And I think when the opportunity to present themselves again with Ryan Hardy, hopefully Randall can get on the ball and pass those opportunities through them, or create the opportunities. And like to Morgan Whittaker, Ballymumba, those key areas are where we're going to get in and potentially score goals.
Well, we are getting closer to seeing what it will be like up at St Andrews. There are a load of other matches obviously taking place in the Championship today as well. Let's have a look through some of the other games that are being played. Last night it was a 1-1 draw between Hull and Bristol City up in Yorkshire. But looking through there, Sheffield Wednesday looking to get their first win of the season, their first point of the season as well, actually. The one that sticks out to me, though, Mark, on that list, Ipswich Leeds. What a start Ipswich have made.
Yeah, huge game, isn't it? You forget Leeds United. You look down at that there, Charlie, and look how many former Premier League teams are there on the screen. It's incredible, really. Ipswich have had a wonderful start. Leeds, obviously, look to bounce back. There's no easy games, as we said, and that's why it's so exciting to watch. Argyle fully deserved to be there after last season's campaign, and really have acquitted themselves superbly well in the first three games.
Just going through some of the other fixtures being played today. Southampton, who of course beat Argyle last week, they are at home to QPR, looking to keep up the momentum there. Leicester City, the other side, that have made a 100% start to the season. They're away at Rotherham, and West Brom Middlesbrough, another match being played We'll keep you up to date with all of those games throughout this afternoon here on Argyle TV. But we are pretty much ready to hand away to St Andrews. Remember, you can watch the game in full if you're based outside of the UK. A match pass will cost you £10. You can find all of the details on our website. If you're in the UK, you can listen to commentary from Rob McNichol and Hasni Al Joffrey for just £2.50. Click on the Argyle TV tab. You'll see the options that will drop down in front of you for streaming. Make sure you go and get it, because it is almost time to see whether Argyle can get back to winning ways. Not since February 2022 have Argyle lost 2 league games on the bounce. If they are to avoid defeat today, they're going to have to do something that not many sides have done against Birmingham City so far this time around. That is score a goal and get a positive result. But it's Argyle against Birmingham City, and it's coming up next.